All right, let's dive right in. We're going to talk about something really powerful today. The idea that one of the best tools for managing psoriasis might not be in your medicine cabinet, but actually right there on your dinner plate. We're going to break down a simple anti-inflammatory guide to food that could genuinely make a difference.
So this is the big question, right? Can the food you eat really affect your skin? And the answer, from what we're seeing, is a huge yes. But look, it's not just about what to cut out. It's about really getting the why and the how behind using food to calm your system from the inside. And that's exactly what we're going to unpack.
Okay, so here's the absolute key thing to wrap your head around. Psoriasis is not just a skin-deep problem, it's a systemic condition. That means the inflammation you see on your skin, well, that's actually a sign of inflammation happening all throughout your body. And that's precisely why an internal approach, like your diet, can be such a game changer. So let's really connect the dots here. How does a piece of salmon or a handful of berries on your plate actually translate to the health of your skin? Let's get into it.
I want you to think of an anti-inflammatory diet less like a strict limiting chore and more like a proactive strategy. You're literally giving your body the building blocks it needs to dial down that inflammation, which, in turn, can lead to calmer, happier skin.
And now for the main event. Instead of getting bogged down in a giant list of don'ts, we're going to approach this with a framework I like to call SMART swaps. Trust me, it's a much more positive and doable way to make these changes stick.
See, the whole idea is to swap out foods that might be promoting inflammation for foods that actively fight it. It's all about upgrading your plate, not emptying it. So let's see what this looks like in the real world.
First up, proteins. So we're talking about swapping things like red meat and processed meats for choices like salmon or mackerel. Now, why is this swap so powerful? It's all about the omega-3 fatty acids in those fish. They literally help turn down your body's inflammatory response. It's amazing stuff. Now for carbs. The swap here is moving away from those refined, sugary options, like white bread and pastries, and leaning into whole grains and legumes. The magic word here is fiber. High-fiber foods give you that slow, steady energy, and, crucially, help support a healthy gut, which we now know is directly linked to inflammation.
You know, not all fats are created equal, not by a long shot. Here, we're trading those saturated and trans fats you find in fried foods and some margarines for beautiful, healthy, unsaturated fats. Think extra virgin olive oil, creamy avocados. These are the cornerstones of that anti-inflammatory Mediterranean diet.
When it comes to fruits and veggies, it's all about loading up on antioxidant powerhouses. Things like dark leafy greens and colorful berries. Now, quick side note on the swap this list, nightshades, like tomatoes and peppers, are only a potential trigger for some people. This is one of those areas where it's super individual.
Okay, so what's the deal with dairy? Well, for some, the concern is a protein called casein, which tends to be higher in full-fat products and can be inflammatory for some people. So swapping for low-fat options or even trying some plant-based milks can be a really helpful experiment.
What you drink is just as important as what you eat. Things like alcohol and sugary sodas can be huge inflammation triggers. But a simple swap to something like green tea, you're not only hydrating, you're also getting a dose of antioxidants called catechins that actively go to work fighting inflammation. It's a win-win.
I love this one. This shows how you can pack in flavor without adding inflammation. Instead of reaching for sugary sauces like ketchup, you reach for spices like turmeric. I mean, the active compound in turmeric, curcumin, is one of the most powerful natural anti-inflammatories on the planet. And finally, let's talk about gut health. Swapping out potential triggers like gluten or those ultra-processed foods for fermented foods, things like kimchi or kefir, that switch helps build up a healthy gut microbiome. And that microbiome, it plays a massive role in keeping your immune system balanced.
Okay, so we've seen all these incredible swaps, but how do you figure out which ones are going to be the most impactful for you? This is where we get into building your own personal action plan.
This might be the single most important thing to remember. There is no one-size-fits-all psoriasis diet. Your body is completely unique. The goal here is to become a detective and discover your personal triggers and, on the flip side, your personal superfoods.
So how do you actually do that? The elimination trial is an amazing tool. It's simple, really. You temporarily remove some of the most common triggers, you give your body a good 6 to 8 weeks to calm down, and then you reintroduce them one by one to see how your skin reacts. It's all about listening to your body.
And hey, if you want a proven roadmap to start with, this is it. The Mediterranean diet, which is built on so many of the swaps we just talked about, has been clinically shown to lower what are called PASI scores. That's literally the scale doctors use to measure how severe psoriasis is. So we know this model is effective, and bonus, it's delicious and sustainable.
All right, let's start to bring this all home and focus on what success looks like not just tomorrow, but for the long haul.
If you remember nothing else, remember these 4 things. 1. Build your plate around whole, anti-inflammatory foods. 2. Remember that your body is unique, so personalization is everything. 3. Please, focus on consistency, not perfection. One off meal doesn't derail everything. And 4. Be patient with yourself. This really is a marathon, not a sprint.
So I'll leave you with a question to take with you. What is one small, totally manageable smart swap you can try out this week? Maybe it's just switching your afternoon soda for an herbal tea, or trying brown rice instead of white. Every single small step is a huge victory. Thanks so much for tuning in.